So, Etheria Restart has had a bit of a rocky start so far, right guys? The game is pretty good, and I think the devs had pretty good rep going into this because they were pretty vocal and talking with the players, things sounded great. But since launch, people have been a little bit pissed. They changed a bunch of things from the beta to launch, making PvE harder. And then they did some hot fixes, and those hot fixes made some characters just not work in certain gameplay elements, like certain bosses can't be affected by dot damage. I guess it's a bit redundant, like saying pin number, but dot doesn't work on Aurora boss. And then they made it so Veronica's skill 3 buff cannot be extended forever, which was really strong, admittedly, but that still is a nerf. And they kind of just swept all this stuff under the rug. So people are insanely pissed. People are losing it. Overall, not a very good look for the company. They finally put out a post to talk to the community. Please tell me this is a good post. Dear Hyperlinkers, first, we extend our sincerest apologies to all the players who love and support us for the discussion and concern sparked by recent in-game adjustments. Over the past few days, we received substantial feedback, oh, I bet you did, regarding our recent balance changes. We deeply understand that these adjustments did not fully consider your gaming experience and expectations and were shortcomings of both communication and execution. Really quickly, let me just say, communication is the #1 thing that games usually get wrong. If you communicate things well to your audience, you can even do things that like are negatives and people will be more willing to accept it. If you do no communication or bad communication, even tiny things can snowball into a huge problem. And communication and execution, which cause distress and concern. We value every player's voice immensely, well, unless you use Shadow Sonya apparently, and we apologize for not managing this matter appropriately. We've given this issue careful consideration. We solemnly pledge to take the following measures: balance adjustments. To provide a more stable and predictable gaming experience, we've decided major balance adjustments, including characters, equipment, and core gameplay, will be strictly scheduled during the fixed window between the end of an RTA season and the start of a new one. That's honestly the best time you should be doing that, absolutely. Unless the RTA seasons are very long. This means during an ongoing season, we'll avoid large-scale balance changes that impact core gameplay, except for emergency fixes for critical bugs. This will allow everyone to engage in competitive play, progression, and playing in a stable environment. If the seasons are really long, like Epic 7, which are 3 months, and you don't really do balance changes, it makes things boring and really stale. So hopefully they have like short seasons, and I think that would probably fix a lot of that. But at the same time, I just hope that their balance changes are good. There's a lot of misinformation out there. People love to parrot this thing where you can't balance change, it's against the law. Literally a lie. You can nerf stuff if you want. Companies are perfectly within their rights to nerf things, but that doesn't mean that you have to like that they nerf things. And that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be considered a scam if they release something and immediately nerf it. There could be lawsuits or other things like that, and potential for the government to have to look into things, depending on how it's done. However, that's pretty rare, and there's only been some cases of that. I think mostly with Japanese gachas in the past, or maybe some instances like, for instance, Nexon had like a mystery box thing in MapleStory that had to get looked into by the government, but for the most part, they are allowed to nerf things. Blessing Galore and event optimization. We've been closely monitoring your enthusiasm for the Blessing Galore events. I don't even know what the hell that is, but I guess I know what events are, and appreciate the valuable suggestions provided during the testing phase. After carefully listening to your feedback, we've decided to launch an exclusive Blessing Galore event. The exclusive Blessing Galore event is set to start on June 21st. Oh, this is the double drops, and will last for 2 days. During this event, investigation threshold and GP outposts will have double drop rates. People were wondering about this. People knew that it happened in the beta, and they thought that it was already supposed to happen on release, but it hadn't. But thank God they're actually doing this. In addition to expressing our apologies, we prepared the following rewards for all hyperlinkers. It's a code. Why is it a code and not just given to you? A bit strange. Gives one, so this is worth 100 energy, 10 anima prototype, and 200,000 bucks. Oh, these are pulls. Yeah. So 10 pulls, 100 energy, and 200,000 V-Bucks. We thanked every players who shared their opinions, waited patiently, and continue to support us. Okay, so first of all, I think what they said here is good. However, I also think it's kind of lacking. They say that, oh, we're going forward with the balance adjustments, we're going to approach it this way, but they're not really addressing why they made some of those changes and trying to explain not only why they did it, but like how fast they did it and why they didn't say that there were any changes for some of this stuff. Also, they're not saying that they're going to give resets to some of those characters. So here's the thing. Let's pretend you build Shadow Sonya to clear the Aurora boss. Well, now she doesn't work on that boss. So you just wasted all these resources on this character that doesn't work there. Now, Shadow Sonya is totally viable on other content in the game and actually completely nukes one of the hardest bosses, which is also Terratron, which is awesome. But she was able to do both. So what if you didn't really care about Terratron, built it for Aurora? You should be able to reset her for free, and any of the other characters in that team, the debuff characters, they should just let people reset those characters. I think it's only right. Resources are very scarce right now, and I think players are constantly hitting walls where they don't have enough resources to be able to up certain characters. So if you wasted it on that, I think that's kind of just messed up. Similarly, the character Veronica, they changed how her skill 3 works. It's a direct nerf that they did to her. They made it so you can't extend her buff, where you can't drop below 1 HP. Now, people built that character to try and abuse that. Is it really too strong? Probably, but you should still let people reset the character. Why should they be punished because you made a mistake with the design? Doesn't really make sense. Also, I believe in the Doki fight, people were using Ziada and were like trying to steal the attack buff off the enemy, and then they made a change where the attack buff can't be stolen. That's a little bit more minor of a thing compared to the Shadow Sonya versus Aurora fight, but I still almost feel like a reset should go out for that potentially too. If the game was out for way longer and they made that change, I would probably be like, it doesn't need it, but right now the game is so early and people just have no resources. I think it's kind of fair. So I don't know why they didn't really talk about any of those things. People are kind of just scared right now at Etheria Restart to build characters and do certain things because they're worried that the game's just going to be changed without any notice and they won't get those resources back. Now they're saying they won't do that. They say they won't do balance adjustments, but it's not a balance adjustment if you make a fight harder in PvE or give them new mechanics, right? That's not a balance adjustment. They're not changing the character you built. That's changing the game. So they could do that still and make it so, I don't know, for instance, maybe the character Deeding doesn't work on every single fight in the entire game. And that would kind of suck ass. Straight up, let me just say this. I think Etheria Restart is a pretty solid game. It's not the highest budget game I've ever seen, but I can completely look past that because I think what the game has to offer is fun and good and interesting. I have been enjoying the game for as long as I've been playing it. There's very frustrating elements. Some of the PvE I think it's too hard, but it's still enjoyable. But I do think that the devs' communication issues are probably the #1 cause for discontent. Even more than the fact that they actually made changes, they just didn't communicate some of these things well enough when they did them, and that's causing all of this unrest. So hopefully Etheria Restart is able to do that more in the future, but I think they've lost a lot of trust with a lot of the players, which is pretty hard to get back. And because the PvE is also so difficult and the nature of it being a PvP game, it makes it kind of difficult for a lot of players to be able to get into it. So hopefully this doesn't damage the game too much. I really hope that this game is able to succeed because I like the core of what they're doing and there's lots of quality of life stuff in this game compared to other things, but solid game. Huge mistakes have been made. It looks like they're trying to rectify them, but I guess we'll see. In addition to our previous letter, Dear Hyperlinks, after carefully considered player feedback, we acknowledge the primary request is for a reset option for the affected Animus. Wow. We're preparing to revamp the Animus reconfiguration event on Monday, June 16th. 3 resets. The first one's free. The other 2 require Hydro Crystals. I think that 2 of them at least should be free, personally. Still huge. Previously, it was 200 crystals, and then 400 crystals, then 600. I think it went up by 200 each time. I think it should be 2 resets for free, personally. This still does help a lot, and honestly, I think the reset thing is so needed. I don't know why they removed the previous one. I think it's really big. At the same time, I'm glad that they're doing this. I don't know if people are going to be happy or mad. I think people will be partially happy, but also a little bit upset that it's not just all free. Holy devs listen, box 2. They listen for once. Devs listen, peak. Okay, I mean, seems to be pretty happy overall. We still shadow nerf shit without our knowledge. Just don't do it in the future. Yeah, as long as they don't mess up in the future, it seems like they apologized and went through the motions on how to fix stuff. But it's still going to take more for them to win back the public. I guess we'll see what happens, right? Also, if they nerf Deeding, end of service, just saying.